social media is wrong for a different reason. Market value of a property, by definition, when I got my degree in real estate and finance, they teach you this. The definition of market value of real estate is what a willing buyer is able to give a willing seller and willing when neither are under duress. Okay? So, in other words, if you're getting foreclosed on, that's not a valid say. You can't use that sale when you're doing an appraisal because it does not establish market value because one of the parties is under duress. Okay? If you've had a house on the market, if you bought another house and you're having to sell your house out of desperation because you shouldn't have bought the other house and now you got two house payments, one of the parties is under duress. Okay?
So they might sell it below market value just to get rid of it.
It does not establish market value. When someone says house prices are going down, they mean market values are going down. Market values have not gone down. But there are some parties, because the market has been sluggish, that are under duress.
I agree with what he's saying because market value doesn't determine the actual price. However, what if the market value, especially in cities like Toronto, was artificially, people have said that we're artificially inflated because of the realtors wanting to make money. So to that extent, this is where I poke at his views, because I think there were some areas in Toronto where the property values were overinflated. And I think it's going through a correction.
I don't know if that's exactly what he's saying. I think he's saying is right now people are speculating that there is a correction. And he's saying that because right now people are stressed. And in a stress market, you're going to have a lot of people pressured to sell. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the value of that property. It just means that they can't afford to keep it. They're stressed, so they offload it. People think we're in a potential bubble. And I think it's less of a bubble, more of deflation. So we're also a safe haven. We're a safe country. We're not like neutral, but we're safe. The US blows up, we're probably not going to blow up with them. COVID changed perspectives on houses because money was basically free. It was 1%. And so like any type of wave, we're in the wake now. And so you're seeing a lot of people coming off of their 1% mortgages. It's every 5 years, you have to go up to 3%, 5%. They bought the house for $5 million. They couldn't afford $5 million. It looked good at 1% interest. But now, years later, these people can't afford it. That's what's happening.
So from one realtor to another, say the property value of this house is $100,000, but I'm the realtor, I'm taking 5%. I'm gonna have to share 5% with you. So we're gonna say, okay, maybe this property, let's, instead of saying it's 100,000, let's say it's 125,000, so our cuts can be higher. That's overinflating the value of the property because it's worth 100,000. So that's what I'm trying to say. So now that all this is happening, it's making for that correction of where the realtors drove up the property value, they overinflated the property value, the price, making it seem like market value, but it's really not because they just weren't honest about what the property is really worth because they wanted to be greedy and make more money. So maybe now it's going to that correction to say that $125,000, $150,000 house is actually really worth $100,000. Really, it should be worth $100,000 if not for the overinflation by the realtors. That's the point I was trying to make.
Like and subscribe if you find our content interesting. Welcome to Nerdy Monday. How do you explain New York City then?
New York City has more to do with the business activities and the number of people there. Up until COVID, the population of New York City was way more than Toronto and the GTA. There was also limited space to build within New York City. They had to tear down old buildings to build new ones because there was no land to purchase anymore. There's a lot of tourism activities in New York. People don't leave their country to say, oh, I'm going to Toronto necessarily. They'd rather go to New York first because it's more of Times Square, all those things. So location, real estate is location. You can't compare Toronto and New York in terms of locations. I think that's where we're at.
My friend does sports memorabilia. He may buy something from the thrift shop for $25, but then if someone's willing to buy it for $100, that's the value. He's tripled his money. It's all about what someone's willing to buy. But I think the biggest thing was COVID. I think that's the biggest anomaly. I just found out, I don't know if you knew about this, Canada has been funding for this some kind of refugee program.
Yeah.
$1 billion and they're winding it down. We've been housing immigrants in low-end hotels, living there for free. And now they're telling them, get out. Program's over.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
this
don't
is
know.
ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, to that, I haven't researched it. When I heard, a lot of times government provides justification for why they do certain things. And as individuals, we think from a capitalist perspective, and the government is different. They get money from taxpayers, so the money is there to spend. That money could have been used in building homes for these people, accommodation in hotels. That's the way I would see it, right? Now, was there justification for hotels because time was a constraint? People are coming in. There's no time for them to wait to get into houses that are being built. I just don't get it.
I don't get it either.
There's some justification that just doesn't make sense.
We have so much land. Why not take a program with these people? You come here, great. You got to go to St. Marie. You got to go to the prairie lands and start farming or whatever. It's so annoying. Holding them up in Toronto, an already saturated city. Anyways, it's annoying. Anyways, I think one of the game changers will be anyone that has property downtown, which is me. It's pre-construction, but anyone that has property downtown, World Cup is going to be a game changer. At least, I'm hoping. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Olympics, they build things for the Olympics. I don't know if they'll build anything for the World Cup. Do you think they will?
Just the
like stadiums? Okay,
so they have to build a housing complex for the athletes, right?
Yeah.
For the Olympics, I think it's just soccer stadiums and access to those soccer stadiums, which is why they closed the Gardner for a bit, because they're building it. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Anyone who has property around that vicinity is going to do well.
Exactly.
Within that period.
And the reason why I'm bringing this up is diversification of investments is important. And I think one thing, at least I think we both try to remind everyone, houses is just one of many different types of assets that you have. You don't need, it's not the be all and end all of just assets. Yes, the housing market is scary, but like any type of investment, it goes up and down. So I do hear what Dave is saying. I think we're both hearing him and understanding him in a different way. I hear what you're saying. I think at the end of the day, though, with housing, you just got to ride the wave. If you can ride the wave, you're good. Overall, if you look at houses in 30 years, it goes like that. It'll always go up. I've never seen houses go down in perpetuity. It's always going up in perpetuity. But whether you can ride those ebbs and flows, I think that's the biggest thing.
Don't disagree, because the numbers back up that stat. That's undulating curve that you're talking about where it goes up and down. The part that went up for Toronto, a bit of it was artificial. The coming down is just making for that correction. It's still going to go up regardless. It's property. Over time, with the influx of people, there's going to be demand. The reason why Toronto, especially Eastern Ontario, is hot is because nobody wants to live in the prairies. Nobody wants to live in Yukon. It's too cold. An example would be Nigerians who come to Canada. It's easier to find a Nigerian store here than to go to Yellowknife.
You leave your country to come to another country, assimilate, just to go to the Nigerian store around the corner.
Yeah, if you came to Toronto first, it's not as easy to move to another place, which is why bringing the people here, don't bring them to Toronto first, because then they're not going to want to leave.
Yeah.
Because they get used to the fact that, okay, it's convenient here. Why would I want to go live in the prairies when there's nothing?
You can never miss what you never had. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
But I just think if I was an immigrant, I would just think, I want to come here and I want to do things better than what I had. To do that, you need to trek your own path. One thing I've always done, when I buy houses, never buy in a populous area. I always buy in fringe. It's simply because at the end of the day, you're going to maximize the value. So when I first bought this in this area, all there was the university. It was all grassland. It was all farmland. Then I saw builders were building. They had prices. They wanted people to buy. And I just saw the bones. Yeah. There's literally nothing here. There's no plaza. There's nothing.
You saw
nothing.
potential.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'm just saying is I just find it interesting. And I blame mainly Nigerians about this. They're opportunists as opposed to potentialists. They're lazy mother. Just joking.
You're going to have people come after. I can't defend you on that one.
At the end of the day, if you're coming here, why not maximize your opportunity? I'm trying to buy a house for my daughter in
It's
New
a
York.
good time to buy.
Theoretically, no, really. So yes and no. And this is why I'm arguing my position, because I'm living it right now. It looks like it's a good time to buy. So they had a house on the market for $899, and I was like, okay, let's just put in a bid for $800,000. Why not? $899, $800,000. Realtor wouldn't even do it. She's no, they ain't doing that.
No,
they
because-
really want 10.5 for it, right?
Mhm.
Spoke to the realtor. So I guess what I'm saying is, it's a good time to buy, really. I still got to pay $1 million for a house. How is this a bubble? Because I'm trying to buy a house. I would love it to be a bubble,
Well,
so I can
that's-
buy a house for my daughter.
That's location.
We talked about that.
But here's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
If you look at it overall, there's some properties that were sold for way over what it was worth.
There's always outliers, but go on.
It was more than these weren't just outliers.
Okay.
It was more than outliers. Places like Richmond Hill, Vaughan, even your location, prices were overinflated. So over time, it's still going to get to that 2.5, 2.6,
Yeah.
but not now.
And I
It's
think,
not worth it now, is what I'm
and
trying
I
to
hear
say.
you, but I think people think the burst means things are going to go back down to 500.
Oh, no,
But
that's not
yeah,
my
that's
argument.
the burst.
That's
That's the
not my
burst.
argument.
Okay,
The
but
argument is a correction. There's a
Okay.
difference. Yeah.
all right.
It's
Well, I
a
guess then we're
correction.
saying the same thing, because I said deflation,
Yeah.
correction. I think people are talking about a burst. I think people
Yeah.
are just like, bubble's going to burst and pop.
No, no,
I guess my argument is that's not a burst, right? Everything goes up and down. Remember gas prices? The first time it hit 80, I was like, what? 80 cents a liter? We're in
I
Canada.
just remember gas prices. at
And
50.
then it went up to 110. People went crazy. When it went back down to 80, people were lining up. This is the sentiment, right? I do agree, though, that COVID definitely overinflated and stuff because, again, supply and demand. People are getting loans. It's only 1%. They're buying up all the houses. How do you curb that? You have to increase the price to mitigate, right? So, I don't know. Anyways, we're way over time.
Yeah.
Guys, this is our Nerdy Monday. Hopefully y'all found it interesting. We did jump from things back and forth, but at the end of the day, it's all tech or technical-ish. And we hope you found it valuable. Please subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.